Drake Music, John Kelly Keynote Speech, Music Mark, 2017.
Can I formally welcome John Kelly, who will be exploring further our key theme for this conference, diversity, equity and inclusion. Thank you, John.
Thank you. You all seem so far away. I've been on tour. Hello. Thank you for waving. Wave at the back. Come on, give me a little wave. Oh, there you are. Could I ask everyone to be really brave? Would you all like to come forward by one row? Just to make it a little bit more warm and cosy, and do you know what I mean? I've been on tour for the last 3 months, and my artistic director has been telling me how to break down that third wall. And we've got a massive wall here in front of me with a brightly shaped carpet, so I'm breaking it down. Thank you so much for joining in and moving forward. Essentially, I'm very, very excited to be here. The aim of my talk is kind of threefold, really. One is I'm going to do a little bit of a performance with the Kellycaster. It's only its third outing out in front of a live audience. So I'm a little bit nervous about that because you know what technology can be like. But it's very good. It worked really well at 6 o'clock this morning. If you're in my hotel room at 6 o'clock in the morning, you'd have had the best performance ever. But, you know, it's got a bit, longer now. Also, the next thing I'm really going to be doing is reflecting on some of my journey as a professional artist, as a musician, and also as a practitioner working in the music sector with young disabled and non-disabled people developing inclusive practice. So there's a certain amount of reflection and trying to pull out some of the key themes and thoughts. I haven't got any answers. I'm sorry if you come here for answers. I haven't got them. Because the third thing that my session really is about is having a dialogue and having a conversation. So you'll be pleased to know that there will be crowd participation, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to be sitting here for the next 30 minutes chatting at you. I'm going to be asking you some questions and asking you to get involved a little bit as well. So hopefully you'll join in and you won't be shy. Are you going to be shy? Very good. I heard you last night. You know, after a few drinks, you know, it was great. So on my 35-minute journey, hopefully some of the things we might explore are some notions and ideas about diversity, something about identity, disability, shared practice, inclusion and conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is very, very important. Please take note. Communal singing of protest songs. That will be happening. So as I said, I'm immensely honoured and privileged to be here. And I'm quite nervous because I recognise that the work that I'm kind of representing through Drake has been a journey that we've been on. Drake's been brave enough to kind of go on this journey with Think 2020 and look at its own practice and change and evolve and take some risks. And I guess the first thing around change, if that's the loose theme of my talk really is about change, then one of the things we have to do is take risks. We have to do things that we haven't done before. And I'm always doing that like this now. This is the risk. I don't know if you noticed, I'm like really wobbly up here. So, so I'm very nervous because it's very important. And that's because the things we're talking about are very real. And I did have this thing about performing and being a provocateur, but I'm not really a provocateur because I don't like being provocative just for the sake of it. I like to talk about real things and real issues and making them real. So I'm going to try not to talk about jargon. If I don't make sense, please feel free to ask a question and I'll try and clarify it. But I'm not the expert. This room is full of experts. We're all expert. We've all got our own experience and we bring that with us. So just hold on to that. And I don't see myself as an expert. I think I've been on a very exciting journey. And as a result, I'm still learning. And I meet and I work with some wonderful, wonderful people who every day teach me new things. Teach me about communication, teach me about non-verbal skills, teach me about creativity, teach me about finding the solutions. So this is about dialogue and conversation, but My challenge really is that it's about bringing about change. I don't like just doing talking shops. I gave up doing disability equality training with organisations who wanted a one-off. They wanted me to come in for half an hour and to talk about disability issues and then go. And then the little box is ticked. I've kind of moved away from that. I'd much rather have a dialogue and a conversation with people who really want to make change happen. And so disability equality for me is really, really important. But it's very, very much about sort of a mutual kind of a sharing that we're up for change together. It's not you going off and being on your own. I'll come with you. But it is about us having that sort of commitment to do that. From a kid, I've always had high expectations of myself. I've always wanted to push. From the moment, when I started my school life, they were saying, well, you're not going to be able to do that, you're not going to be able to do that. It's a red rag to a bull. It's not, I'm going to raise it. And I kind of think that in the music sector, and particularly around work with disabled people, we have to raise expectations. We have to bring the game so that disabled people really get an equal opportunity to participate and have a sense of belonging in the music sector. Because music is such a powerful tool, and we all know that. I'm preaching to the converted in that sense. But actually, music is really important because it's a different way of communicating. And I've used it all my life as a kind of a way to try and make sense of the gobbledygook that's in my head. We're in a particular context and we're in quite challenging times. And so there's a theorist by the name of Jenny Morris, and she says for the first time in history of modern social policy, things are getting worse for disabled people. That's the da-da EastEnders moment. And we go on to the next programme, which is about improving that and challenging it and changing it. And I believe music is a way of providing alternatives and challenging some of the stuff that is going on. So, for example, things like disabled people's right to independent living is being really challenged, which is making it harder for disabled people to participate. So even if you open your doors and say, we welcome disabled people, there's still more to be done in order for disabled people to be actively involved because of all the challenges that are around us. Public transport is very exciting for disabled people because some of it's really good, some of it's very poor. And, those kind of basic issues are still things that are challenging disabled people. And so when we say, where are disabled people? Probably still waiting for the 164 bus to get the lift out, So there's lots of challenges. I went to a special school, which meant, for me, I believe that was segregation. I wasn't with my non-disabled friends learning about what happens around the back of the bike sheds. We didn't have a bike shed. So I don't know what happened around the back of the bike sheds. I never learned all that kind of stuff. I learned that later on. And I was surprised, actually. You don't pump up wheels there. I was like... and while I was at school, I found music. I had a brilliant music teacher who said, OK, John's found the piano and he doesn't stop playing it. Let's do that. She realised quite quickly that I used my ear to play music. I'm terrible at music reading, and it's one of those regrets that I've always had, and I've always tried. But as soon as I hear it in my ear, and I go, yeah, that's near enough, that's it, I'm off. So I'm a real rock and roller in that sense. I'm kind of, my musical discipline is pretty terrible, to be absolutely honest with you. But I did find music, and I found a music teacher who believed in me, and a music teacher who said, how are we going to do it? So as soon as I found out you can add more than one note, and you can add two and a harmonic and a third note, how am I going to use 3 fingers? Hold on, you're using 5 fingers. How am I going to do that? And music technology came along, and I learned to do that sort of stuff as well. I don't believe disability has anything to do with ability. I really, really don't. It's all got to do with potential and the barriers that exist that stop you reaching your potential. It's got nothing to do with my body. My body works in a different way. I would suggest everybody's body works in a different way. And we all adapt and we all learn to do things in our own way. And that's the same, I would suggest, for a lot of disabled people. We all kind of know how to work with our bodies and make them work. And it's not about our ability. Disability is about something that prevents us reaching our potential. So I became a youth worker and spent a lot of time with young people making music. And it's as simple as that. That's what makes change. When you just get in there and get on with it, and you ask the question, how are we going to do this together? What do we need to do so that everybody's involved? What do we do so everyone's got a role? I was saying to Karine earlier on, the best analogy for inclusion is being in a band. Because when you're in a band, you have a sense of belonging. You've got friends and mates who all share a passion in doing a similar thing. You've all got a role, and you've all got your bit to do to make it sound all right. And I think that's kind of the starting point of inclusion, is just we've all got that knowledge of what a band is, or what it is to belong to a movement of people who are sharing a common goal. So that's enough about my background. I think music brings about a different perspective. I think the important thing is, in order to change, we need transformation. We need to do some new things to realise, wow, disability, equality and inclusion is a reality. It isn't a complicated theory. It's something that is quite simple and beautiful when it works. And all it really entails is just a little bit of thought and some conversation, asking each other, how are we going to do it? How do you want to do it? It's not about fitting in. So I've been really fortunate in that, my art has reflected my experiences and my values, and I've used music to kind of explore my understanding of me, the world around me, and to say some stuff with my music. I'd like to ask you a question. What I'd like you to do is, just for a couple of seconds, just turn around to some people maybe you don't know, and just talk for a few seconds about what you think disability is. What is disability? Just for a couple of moments, just turn around, have a chat with somebody who maybe you don't know, and just have a little chat about what you think disability is. Okay. This is where I could leave, isn't it? I could just leave you to talk for the rest of the morning. That's great. That's my job done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. Have we got a roving mic? Yeah, we have. Okay. Obviously, it would be lovely to have 300 bits of flip chart feeding back to me at this point with what everybody said. We're not going to be able to do that. But maybe, have we got any volunteers of people just to share one or two ideas of what you were speaking about? We've got a roving mic, so it'd be really good to have you into the mic if possible. Would anybody like to share? Just raise a hand or indicate. Yeah, thank you.
Hello. This isn't really a definition, but
Good stuff.
I'm always struck by the idea, which I've learned from Drake music practitioners, actually, that society disables people rather than people are disabled, and that kind of distinction, that it's about being in a world which is not naturally designed to support certain types of people.
Great.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That was really well. A little round of applause, I think, for the first speaker. Thank you very much. Somebody else. Let's have someone over on this side if we... Yeah, that's great. They've got a hand here at the front. Thank you. I told you we should have gone to the gym this morning, didn't I?
Hi, good morning. I would start off by saying that we are all differently abled, and similar to Charlie's contribution, I would say that perhaps the barriers of what we call disabled people are in the minority.
Okay.
And again, I would support Charlie's view that it's society that has failed these disabled people, and it's just I thought of some of the technical advances in the last 10-15 years. If you take, for example, voice recognition equipment,
sure,
which is really, I'm trying to get my daughters to be using this because one of my daughters has chosen 3 essay-based A-levels, and I think it would be good for her to get used to that piece of kit. But
yeah,
unfortunately, that piece of kit has only been developed because of the mass market and not for disabled people.
Yeah, and I think there's something really, really important what you're saying. There is an assumption that technology has revolutionised disabled people's lives. And of course, in many ways it has. We have got lots of great apps now. I can turn my lights on my phone and all sorts of things at home. But it's only useful if you can access it. Technology has empowered lots of disabled people. But it's also been quite a barrier because accessing it can be quite tricky, and access within technology, disabled people, the needs of access, screen readers on websites, still really, really bad record on accessible websites for people with visual impairment, because websites have revolutionised. We can get information straight away, apart from if it doesn't work with a screen reader. It's as simple as that. So I think what you said is really, really important, but. And I think the caveat is that technology is only good if you can access it. And some of that's about cost, but a lot of it is about the design. And that's where Drake and certainly we've been in. Thank you for that. That's really great. One hand up there. I'm going to just take this one more person, then we're going to move on a little bit. But thank you.
The 3 of us sitting here, we felt that disability is just the inability to do something you'd like to do. So rather than labelling people as disabled, we just feel that anyone at any time could have a disability because they're unable to do something they would like to do.
Okay. I didn't say at the beginning that some of the conversation might be challenging, and I think it's part of us exploring together. Disability. We've done some research with Drake, and also actually every organisation I've been involved with over the last 30-40 years. Disability is still misunderstood. It's still there's a lack of understanding. There's a lack of clarity, and that's because it means lots of things to different people. And there isn't one kind of definition as such. There's lots of definitions. And the thing that I did was I listened to disabled people. I listened to what disabled people were saying about our definition. This slide kind of goes through my journey, and I think disability, like I say, there's a relationship to my body, but it's not about my body. It is about my experience of having to deal with things like being in segregated education, not having any high expectations that I'd go away with anything useful in terms of career. Nobody told me I'd be a musician. I still think some people tell me I'm not going to be a musician, but that's another story. But and I had to do lots of stereotypes about, well, actually, John must want to walk. He must want to get out of his wheelchair and run around. And actually, the reality was, when I actually got into a wheelchair, I thought, my God, I can get around. I can fly. I can do whatever I want to do. The thing about your ability, I think, drives you on. I don't think that is disability. I think your ability to be able to do something that you want to do is what gives you the passion to do it. And most disabled people find the way to do it. You know, when I was 8, I wanted to play guitar. It's taken till I'm 48 to get there. But, you know, it drives you on to want to do it. So I think that disability is a little bit like the first gentleman said about something that society does as a response to my body, as a response to being different, to not fitting in with the majority. That these barriers exist, like we have steps and stairs, and we have narrow doorways, and the rules are all written without thinking. We might need to add some time because the buses take longer because they're not accessible, and we need to rewrite the rules. And so disability, for me, is part of a social movement. Disability is something that is imposed, that can be got rid of, in the sense of the end discrimination. And so I think it's time for a song. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Kellycaster. And I wrote this song before I had the Kellycaster. And I'm going to try and press this button, hopefully. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, yeah. Where is it? Have I gone the wrong way? Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Just as you can say, I'm really good. I'm working for Drake, and I'm not very technical. Is that allowed? Time for a song, hooray! So this song is written on the Kellycaster. Well, it was written before the Kellycaster, and it was my very, very first experience of going on a protest. Hands up who's been on a protest. Aren't they brilliant? Aren't they just, don't you go home feeling slightly scared, slightly naughty, but kind of burnt up inside that it was a brilliant day? So this was my first protest in 1995. Why was 1995 so important? Anybody? Well done. Brilliant. Disability Discrimination Act. Do you know what? Disabled people didn't want the Disability Discrimination Act. What we wanted was full and comprehensive civil rights. We wanted something that would force people, believe it or not, to make changes to buildings so that we could be included. And we got the Disability Discrimination Act. So this was my experience of that day. And just to explain the Kellycaster, I'm using a platform called Bella, which is my string detection. And hopefully this will work. Oh, yeah, like that. And it's amazing because the Kellycaster can do things that no other electronic instrument has been able to do for me. So, you know, behaviour of a real guitar string is really, really important. Because I can't do the chord shapes, how am I going to get around that? Well, remember when I was learning at school, one finger. So we've built the chord bank so that I can trigger those off with one finger. And the next bit is your role. Your role in this song. I want us all to imagine we're on Westminster Bridge, feeling passionately about whatever it is that we feel passionate about, okay? We want to see it changed. So when I sing, there's a battle in Whitehall, you go, whoa, all right? So, there's a battle in Whitehall, anger in our sights. There's a battle in Whitehall. So that's brilliant. Give yourselves a round, that's going to be great. So whenever that happens, you come in. Right, we're warmed up. Here we go. You gotta chain yourself to the buses. Show 'em what the fuss is. Get us on the political map. They can try and talk us down. We'll head right into town. We won't take any more of your crap. Are you ready? There's a battle in Whitehall, anger in our sights. There's a battle in Whitehall, fighting for our civil rights, civil disobedience. The public are our audience. We ain't no freak show anymore. We're vocal and we're loud, and disabled and we're proud. No sympathy but empathy give to the cause. There's a bottle in Whitehall, anger in our sights. There's a bottle in Whitehall, we're fighting for our civil rights. Well, have you ever thought apartheid was wrong? Have you ever thought homophobia was wrong? Have you ever thought that sexism, racism, fascism was ever so wrong? Well, Lady Olga Maitland proves she is not on this land. Perhaps segregation ain't so bad after all. Well, John Smith, he has gone. Well, maybe this could be his song. As a battle cry for civil rights will never die. There's a battle in Whitehall, anger in our sights. There's a battle in Whitehall, we're fighting for our civil rights. So I think what I was trying to say with that song really is that disability is a human rights issue. It's a rights issue. And the gentleman who spoke right at the beginning, can I just see a little hands up? Again, it's just out of interest. Has anybody heard of the social model of disability? Who's heard? There's quite a few of you. So the social model of disability, I'm just trying to bear with me for a sec. I'll try and drop that, press that, and do that. I need more hands. It's got nothing to do with ability. Need more hands. So there are two views of disability. And society's view of disability generally is that I'm a disabled person because I'm a wheelchair user. My arms are different, they don't work, you can't do stuff. All that kind of stuff that I grew up with is kind of what we call the dominant model. And it exists very strongly even now. It's about trying to change the impairment, cure it, therapy, all those kinds of things. A dominant model. In music, the therapy model of music is really, really dominant in disabled people's lives. And for me, music is more than just therapy. It's not, there's something else about music, which is about art and expression and all those kinds of things as well. So I learned from other disabled people that there's this other version of disability, which is the social model, which says that it's actually about the external barriers. And these slides, we'll put them up so you can see them, so you don't have to read them all now. But the medical model kind of does talk about kind of that actually it's my impairment that's the problem, and that's what we need to focus about. We need to know what the medical term is. What does it mean, and how does it affect the body? Well, disabled people say you don't need to know that. What you really need to know is that I need a ramp to get on stage. I need a nice big toilet so I can have a wee-wee. And I like my tea with no sugar. Those are the things. And I like Guinness with a long straw if I'm in that kind of environment. And the social model has redefined how disabled people have defined disability. And it's not shared by every single disabled person. But within the movement of disabled people, there's been a consistency. Our message has been that it's not our body and it's a human rights issue. So I feel that my practice needs to reflect that I need to get on and be a working musician. I need to be gigging, I need to be touring, I need to be writing. And I believe that is something that, we all need. We all need that sort of platform to do that. And one of the big things that I found as a disabled person was I couldn't get to venues. I couldn't get into venues to play at them because the stage was inaccessible. There wasn't festivals where I could watch disabled artists, you know, performing on stage. And all that still needs to change. And luckily, we've got a vibrant disability arts movement that's full of really, really great art. And all we need to do is just dig a little bit further. It's not on the surface, it's a bit deeper down. But actually, it's just as creative, it's just as vibrant, and it's just as exciting. And it's all there. There's some great stuff like there's and I think the other thing about it is that it's across art platforms. How do you make music accessible? Well, we kind of we ask the person how they want it to be done. Is the kind of how do we make that? And then wherever it can't be done, we get a technologist along and do that. Or we find we talk about high-tech and low-tech kind of versions of stuff, because technology does let us down sometimes. So there's that kind of idea. But I think the important thing for me is that no longer, in my lifetime, I've seen a great change. People used to do things for us and to us, and we had to fit in. We were fitting into a non-disabled person's world. And so in terms of music syllabus, all those kinds of things, it was about fitting in. And now disabled people are starting to articulate what our culture is, what our barriers are, and actually how we overcome them. So it's about that conversation, it's about that dialogue. So the Kellycaster is kind of my next journey, really. And as I say, this is the third time I played it with a big audience, so it's quite scary. But what's really, really important, I think, is that any sort of form of music is a real essential tool to bring about change, because it kind of brings us together. So I think it's time for another song. So this song is about here and now kind of thing. And it's, again, this one is not one that I've rewritten it because it had a tradition of being rewritten. The first time it was written, it was on a fridge door back in the 1930s. And it was, there was a union battle going on. And the union battle, this person's wife wrote on the fridge door, "Which side are you on?" And it became this song. And then it was used again in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. And then it was written again in the 80s by Billy Bragg. And then I thought it's about time that the disability movement had a bit of Billy Bragg. So this is my bad attempt at being a bit of a Billy Bragg. But it's called "Which Side Are You On?" And again, it's got a great kind of audience participation kind of level. Actually, Jonathan, can I just get you, because I've grabbed my plectrum, can I get you to move the slide on for me? Is that all right? Thank you. Cheers. Well, the government had an idea and Parliament made it law. They say disabled people can't live independently anymore. That's better. Which side are you on, my boy? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, my boy? Which side are you on? They say that we're a burden, they say we're on the scrounge, say our life's not worth living, they stick us in heaven's waiting lounge. Which side are you on, my boy? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, my boys? Which side are you on? They've given us our own minister, he's supposed to fight the cause, but every time that we ask him, he sticks in another capability clause. Which side are you on, the boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, the boys? Which side are you on? Because of all these changes, of us have died. If these changes keep on happening, what more proof do you need that you have lied? You ready to sing? Oh, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which side are you on, my boy? Which side are you on, my boy? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on, the boys? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on, the boys? Oh, which side are you on? Are you on? Sorry, yeah, last song, yeah. So, I need you to just flick to the last song, because sadly I'm out of time now. So this last song is, I've been on tour with Reasons to be Cheerful, and it's, do anybody know the Blockheads? Yeah! So this was a song I wrote with my heroes, the Blockheads. It's unbelievable that they even allowed me to sort of sit with them. But Chaz Jankel, who wrote Sex and Drugs and Hit Me and all that, he wrote this song with us. And it was kind of like the end of the show. So thank you very much for listening. I hope it's maybe sets some thoughts going, maybe opens up some conversations up. We're going to have a conversation as a panel after this to unpack it all a little bit further. But thank you very much for your listening and joining in. And this last song is called If It Can't Be Right, It Must Be Wrong. And again, it's got a lovely little bit of crowd participation. This one's got a bit of a band to it as well. So just bear with me 1 second. I press buttons. Yeah, okay. We're here. Yeah, okay. Bear with. It will get slicker. As the years go on, it will get slicker. Oh, yeah. If it can't be right, then it must be wrong. What's going to happen when the benefit's gone? Let's get things straight and face the facts. Independence, allowance and a bedroom tax. You need some help and a door slammed shut. Kicked in the cobs with scathing cuts. Heads can't be buried in red tape sand. It could all be done and dusted with a simple plan. Keep it in the frame. Keep the pressure up. Keep the fun flowing from a loving cup. We were better off last century, 40 years ago, when expectations rode so high and people had more soul. If it can't be right, then it must be wrong. What's going to happen when our rights have gone? If it can't be right, then it must be right. Let's stick together and keep it tight. If it can't be wrong, then it must be right. I'm mighty gutted with this awful blight. Hard enough already if you don't know how to struggle. It'd be much better if we didn't have to struggle. Sharpen up the system and fix it quick. Cut the middle management and any rhetoric. Don't patronise the vulnerable and add to their stress. Independent living and mend the NHS. Keep the goodwill going. Maintain some dignity. Keep the message flowing. Seek some parity. We were better off last century, over 40 years ago, when expectations rode so high and people had more soul. It's where you join and it goes. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la. All together now. La 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 la, before you act, don't bring us to our knees. Free us from the shackles, this credit squeeze. Can't all swim in a pool of bees and honey, that's stating facts, not trying to be funny. Dump the silly forms and demeaning questionnaires, replace it with feeling and loving tender care. Keep it in the frame, keep the pressure up, keep the fun flowing, from a loving cup. Let's plot a better future, free from fiscal strife, and open up the floodgates to an independent life. If it can't be right, then it must be wrong. What's going to happen when our rights have gone? If it can't be wrong, then it must be right. Let's stick together and keep it tight. You ready with the la la la's? La 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 la, 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 la 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 la. Thank you very much. I can't get off.
Many thanks to John for his inspiring speech and some great singing.
With thanks to Music Mark, delivered as part of Think 2020, a strategic project to improve inclusion across music education, supported by Youth Music. Find out more at www.drakemusic.org.